The John Grissom Academy, founded in 2176, is the Alliance's premier school for young human biotics. The institution is housed in a space station in orbit over the human colony of Elysium. Its main program, the Ascension Project, is designed both to train and monitor young biotics, as well as help them integrate into society after graduation. Unlike the project's previous incarnation, Biotic Acclimation and Temperance Training, or BAT, the training is not exclusively military in nature. The Academy also employs scientific personnel, including Dr. Kaylee Sanders, to develop synthetic intelligence systems and biotic amplifiers like the new L4 implants.
The Academy also employs noted fucking crazy person, Jack. Actually, Jack has grown a lot as a person, and I'm really proud of her. The thing about Jack was, though, and I don't know if she gets her own entry, so I'll just mention this here. Second game, she didn't give a fuck. Fight 'em, frack 'em, move on, kill everybody. Barely wore clothes, tattoos all over, shaven head, whole deal. The thing that got me most was I completely lost my train of thought. Like, it is dead right now. Oh, yeah. Okay, so on my Insanity run on the 360, I wanted to play a character who was both a Renegade and Paragon. Now, this game does not punish that because of the reputation system, which is one of my favorite changes. Like, one of my only huge problems with Mass Effect 2 was your Paragon and Renegade points determined whether you could do a Diplo option. So if you weren't fanatically devoted to the open palm or the closed fist, you were shit out of luck and people were gonna die. So Miranda and Jack got in a little hissy fit. I had to choose. I chose Miranda. Jack got pissed. And on the Insanity run, not in this LP, but in my Insanity run with a fresh Shepherd in Mass Effect 2, when we went to the suicide mission, Jack was the only disloyal squad member, and she was the only one to die. And I have to say, she did kind of bring it on herself in that instance.
An unremarkable world located far from regularly traveled trade routes, Lessus is inhabited only by a small Asari colony. The main feature is a monastery that houses a large population of Asari with active or latent Ardot-Yakshi genes, a disorder that causes the death of anyone who mates with the afflicted Asari. Although some of the colonists exiled themselves voluntarily, many were sent to Lessus by their families to protect society from their deadly potential. The monastery emphasizes individual sacrifice for the good of the community. Latent Ardot-Yakshi, as well as active sufferers who show that they can control their condition, may be offered a chance to reintegrate into Asari society after spending sufficient time on Lessus. Active Ardot-Yakshi whose psychological profiles show capacity for neither empathy nor re-education are confined to the monastery for life.
Morinth. Oh, by the way, if you choose Morinth instead of Samara during the loyalty mission in Mass Effect 2, well, people wondered what the mission in the monastery is like. Well, there's no Samara there. It's like she died. Morinth doesn't show up at all on that mission. She does show up on Earth. She's a Banshee. In fact, a Banshee is labeled with the nameplate of Morinth instead of just Banshee. The Banshee has no remarkable features, no dialogue. She appears right after you blow up the Hades cannons. I'm not even kidding. There's several other characters like that I just consider bad ends. Like, if you sell Legion to Cerberus instead of activating him, or if you give Legion to Cerberus, he shows up in the Collector base in this game as a Geth assassin, or in the Cerberus base rather. And he just shows up as an enemy, and you kill him. And also, if you don't evacuate the John Grissom Academy, Jack becomes a phantom named Jack, and they do notice her. And there is actual audio logs you could find in the base about what happened to her and her students. It's bad. Do the mission. I just thought I should point all that out.
The planet Rannoch, an arid planet orbiting an older star in the Tikkun system, is the former Quarian home world. Almost 300 years ago, the Quarians were driven from Rannoch by the Geth, synthetic servants who gained sapience and rebelled against their creators. Although Rannoch is now largely uninhabited, the Geth have acted as caretakers, working to repair the planet's ecology, restore ancient structures, and cultivate some farmland. Rannoch has no insect life. As a result, its pollinating plants evolved to rely on animals for propagation. This symbiosis between flora and fauna is responsible for the Quarians' weakened immune systems, which made colonization of other planets extremely difficult after their exile from Rannoch. For many Quarians, reclaiming their home world from the Geth is a matter of both cultural and physiological necessity.
And the very crusade that can end up with their entire race destroyed. Also, no insect life sounds really fucking nice. I don't know. A lot of locations. Okay, Surkesh.
Alternating between large oceans and land masses covered in flora, the Solarian homeworld Surkesh is known for its humid climate and lush vegetation. As with the rainforests that once covered Earth, the planet's many forests enjoy a rich biodiversity. The Solarian desire for intellectual stimulation drove them long ago to explore every aspect of their environment, developing ways to thrive without consequences detrimental to their habitat. The areas near major cities and industrial centers are meticulously maintained, with an eye towards ensuring that sunlight penetrates to the ground level, and that established paths through the jungle are kept clear for travel. Burngrass, a soil-enriching and adaptable weed native to Surkesh, has become a major export because of its value for terraforming.
Frankly, Surkesh sounds like an amazing place to be, and based on the mission we had there, it is pretty beautiful. We can assume the Reapers hit it eventually.
The Asari homeworld, Thessia, is the core of the largest economy in the Milky Way. The planet's reserves of Element Zero are so vast that they affect its price galaxy-wide. Because life on Thessia evolved in an EZO-rich environment, the world is home to a wealth of both biotically active and EZO-resistant species. Travel to the planet is strictly controlled, but smuggling remains an issue. Thessia is host to varying republics instead of a single government, and although each maintains a formidable military, it is notable for having long been free of internal or external wars. The Asari are renowned for their cultural and political dominance, and they excel in ambassadorial ventures. They have a strong presence in Citadel politics and galactic policy. However, it is the unfocused political structure of their homeworld that has left the Thessians unprepared for the current conflict.
Apparently. Thessia also sounds like an amazing place to go. All these places do, obviously. Something worth noting. Oh yeah, I was gonna mention, Asari are kind of, fair folk or elves, or like, you can't argue with elves. Well, that's the thing, they were set up to be like that, but luckily from the first game, Mass Effect has worked to avoid that. Yeah, Asari are really awesome, but they're not, above anything, as we've seen from such figures as Matriarch Benezia.
Tuchanka, the Krogan homeworld, boasts extreme temperatures, virulent diseases, and predatory fauna. Around 1900 BCE, the Krogan discovered atomic weapons and promptly sent their planet into a nuclear winter. The majority of the population retreated to underground bunkers, and Krogan culture slipped into a dark age, dominated by tribal clans. In 80 CE, decades into the Rachni Wars, the Solarian Union made first contact with the primitive Krogan and initiated a cultural uplift to shape them into a modern army capable of confronting the Rachni. During this uplift, the Solarians constructed the Shroud facility on Tuchanka to shield the planet from harmful forms of solar radiation. Later, during the Krogan rebellions, reproductive rates were curtailed by the genophage, ensuring the Krogan remained a species in decline and Tuchanka a desolate wasteland.
Yeah, Tuchanka's such a shithole. And when the Codex says that it boasts it, it really does. The Krogan are really proud of being the toughest motherfuckers in the galaxy. I hope to at least get through the Primary Codex in one session. I don't know how long I've been recording.
Cerberus built the Normandy SR-2 as a second-generation version of the Alliance frigate SSV Normandy after the Collectors destroyed the original. The SR-2's many alterations produced a craft nearly double the original size, requiring an even larger Tantalus drive core to compensate. Its state-of-the-art Kodiak shuttle can make landings the original Normandy could not attempt. The Enhanced Defense Intelligence, an AI known colloquially as EDI, coordinates many of the ship's combat functions, assisting and even supplanting human piloting. The Alliance has recently appropriated and refurbished the SR-2. In addition to tight beam communicators, the Quantum Entanglement Communicator, QEC, provides instantaneous contact with Alliance command.
Anderson was actually planning on using the Normandy as his flagship before shit went down quicker than we imagined.
Originally created to covertly insert Alliance Marines into hostile environments, the UT-47 shuttle has since been sold to Allies, recovered by enemies, and had its specifications stolen by spies. In one form or another, this durable transport is now used in all corners of the galaxy. A-model Kodiaks feature a front-mounted mass accelerator cannon that can be used in an anti-vehicular role. Since the shuttle lacks proper gun ports, soldiers often open the side hatch to fire on enemies. This is discouraged in Alliance manuals since it exposes the interior to return fire. Flying the 47A during atmospheric combat requires considerable skill. The pilot must reduce the vehicle's mass for speed and handling, while maintaining enough mass to resist recoil, incoming fire, and inclement weather. More than one pilot has overstressed the Kodiak's field generator and ended up on the battlefield instead of above it.
It's actually really awesome. I love the Mass Effect technology and all the implications of it. Because one of the pillars that has held up the entire series is good science fiction.
Asari-made Solaris armor can resist even the tremendous heat and kinetic energy of starship weapons. The armor is nearly unsurpassed in strength because its central material, carbon nanotube sheets woven with diamond chemical vapor deposition, are crushed by Mass Effect fields into super-dense layers, able to withstand extreme temperatures. That process also compensates for the diamond's brittleness. Diamond armor itself has two limiting disadvantages. First, while nanotubes and CVD diamond construction have become cheaper in recent years, it remains prohibitively expensive to coat starships or aircraft larger than fighters in Solaris material. Second, the armor must be attached to the ship's superstructure, so shock waves from massive firepower can still destroy the metals beneath the armor itself. A popular misconception holds that the diamond composition of Solaris armor gives it a sparkle. In fact, atmospheric nitrogen impurities during the super-hot forging process give the armor a metallic gray or yellow sheen.
Hard to tell because those were its Cerberus colors anyway. I really like how the Normandy looks now. It looks so much better than when it was a Cerberus ship. Also, more of a soul. It's good. These were the 3 upgrades that saved lives during our assault on the Collector base in the last one. I keep having to remind myself that people haven't watched Mass Effect 2 or 3 or 1 sometimes. So I have to keep referring, to the past glories. It was really, it's really cool back then, guys.
Cyclonic barrier technology, CBT, attempts to solve the higher-end limitations of traditional kinetic barriers. Traditional barriers cannot block high-level kinetic energy attacks, such as disruptor torpedoes, because torpedo mass effect fields add mass. The CBT violently slaps aside rather than halting incoming linear force. By rotationally firing their mass effect field projectors, ships create rapidly oscillating kinetic barriers instead of static ones. Shooting through the CBT is like trying to shoot at a target inside a spinning ball. Significant drawbacks to current CBT configuration prevent its use on anything other than frigates and fighters. Its many high-frequency sensors and emitters require frequent maintenance and replacement. A partially damaged CBT can endanger its operator, who is surrounded by rotating mass effect fields, skewing in unpredictable directions. Fortunately, if an emitter is damaged, the CBT corrects to become a traditional shield array, a safety feature that makes it most effective during opening volleys.
Pretty awesome. And expensive. But we spared no expense. God, did we spare no
After the Battle
expense.
of the Citadel, human and Turian volunteers spent 3 months clearing the station's orbit of debris. During the cleanup, the Turians secretly salvaged Sovereign's powerful main gun, along with much of the weapon's Element Zero core. 11 months later, the Turians introduced the Thanix, a scaled-down version of the weapon. The Thanix's core is a liquid alloy of iron, uranium, and tungsten, suspended in an electromagnetic field powered by Element Zero. The molten metal, accelerated to a significant fraction of the speed of light, solidifies into a projectile as it is fired, hitting targets with enough force to pierce any known shield or armor. The gun can fire reliably every 5 seconds. The weapon's relatively small size allows it to be mounted on most fighters or frigates. It is now widely used by the Alliance military and is the primary weapon on the refurbished Normandy SR-2.
And a badass weapon at that. We went toe to toe with that huge collector ship. Also, we're noting this is how you repurpose Reaper tech the right way, Elusive Man. The gun's not gonna brainwash us. Or maybe it will. Can't really ever count the Reapers out.
Biotics is the ability of rare individuals to manipulate dark energy and create mass effect fields through the use of electrical impulses from the brain. Intense training and surgically implanted amplifiers are necessary for a biotic to produce mass effect fields powerful enough for practical use. The relative strength of biotic abilities varies greatly among species and with each individual. There are 3 branches of biotics. Telekinesis uses mass-lowering fields to levitate or impel objects. Mass-raising kinetic fields are used to block or pin objects. Distortion uses rapidly shifting mass fields to shred objects. Most organic species are capable of developing biotic abilities, though there are risks involved. Biotics are the result of in utero exposure to Element Zero. This usually causes fatal cancers in the victim, but in rare cases it coalesces into nodules within the fetus's developing nervous system.
Yeah, so the biotics that developed did so by accident. Or, as has been suggested, the result of induced accident. Yeah.
When subjected to an electrical current, the rare material dubbed Element Zero, or EZO, emits a dark energy field that raises or lowers the mass of all objects within it. This mass effect is used in countless ways, from generating artificial gravity to manufacturing high-strength construction materials. It is most prominently used to enable faster-than-light space travel. EZO is generated when solid matter, such as a planet, is affected by the energy of a star going supernova. The material is common in the asteroid debris that orbits neutron stars and pulsars. These are dangerous places to mine, requiring extensive use of robotics, telepresence, and shielding to survive the incredible radiation from the dead star. Only a few major corporations can afford the setup costs required to work these primary sources. Humanity discovered refined Element Zero at the Prothean Research Station on Mars, allowing them to create mass effect fields and develop FTL travel.
Yeah, this is the core of it. In fact, the technology section explains, like, if you're completely new to Mass Effect, this is how it works. This is how Mass Effect works. Biotics, EZO, the good stuff.
Element Zero can increase or decrease the mass of a volume of space-time when subjected to an electrical current. With a positive current, mass is increased. With a negative current, mass is decreased. The stronger the current, the greater the magnitude of the dark energy mass effect. In space, low-mass fields allow FTL travel and inexpensive surface-to-orbit transit. High-mass fields create artificial gravity and push space debris away from vessels. In manufacturing, low-mass fields permit the creation of evenly blended alloys, while high-mass compaction creates dense, sturdy construction materials. The military makes extensive use of mobility-enhancing technologies, with Mass Effect utilizing fighting vehicles standard frontline issue in most military forces. Mass Effect fields are also essential in the creation of kinetic barriers or shields to protect against enemy fire.
Yeah. And there's biotic barriers too, which are different. Sort of. I never really understood that.
Once believed to be of Prothean origin, mass relays were in fact created by the Reapers, using technology far beyond that of other living species. The enormous structures, scattered throughout the stars, create corridors of virtually mass-free space. This allows instantaneous transit between locations normally separated by years or even centuries, using conventional FTL drives. Primary mass relays can propel ships thousands of light years. The flight path, however, is fixed to a single relay elsewhere in the galaxy. By contrast, secondary relays, while only capable of propelling ships a few hundred light years, can reach any other relay within their limited range. Many primary relays lie dormant, their destinations not yet known. These relays are often left inactive on purpose, as established civilizations are unwilling to blindly open a passage that might connect them to a new hostile species. The Reapers do not share the same concern, and freely use the dormant relays.
Yeah, and that's it. I forgot that there was primary and secondary ones. That was mentioned in the codec to the first one. The thing that gets me about mass relays and them being destroyed, like by the Crucible, I really hate it for both reasons. That the victory fleet that you bring to Earth is so fucking screwed. Even if the mass relays exploding doesn't result in the eradication of, most galactic life, which is what would happen. If it's like the space magic is different, and because it's a colored explosion, it's like a red explosion just doesn't do that. Okay. That still means galactic society done. Now I know in sci-fi there's the motif of we must lose our technology, and that's a very broad I'm thinking of that trend as sort of like in Battlestar Galactica, the ending of the reimagined series, how they tie it into actual history. I'm trying to be a little vague on that for spoiler's sake. Go watch the series if you haven't. I'm serious, all of it. I just finished my third full viewing. Probably my favorite TV show ever. In short, I don't like that the mass relays were destroyed. I really don't like it, for a lot of reasons that other people have probably enumerated better.
Metagel is a common medicinal salve used by paramedics, EMTs, and military personnel. It combines several useful applications: a local anesthetic, disinfectant, and clotting agent all in one. Once applied, the gel is designed to grip tight to flesh until subjected to a frequency of ultrasound. It is sealable against liquids, most notably blood, as well as contaminants and gases. The gel is a genetically engineered bioplasm created by the CERTA Foundation, a medical technology megacorp based on Earth. Technically, Metagel violates Council laws against genetic engineering, but so far it has proved far too useful to ban.
Yeah, I'll say. Metagel was a bit useful in the first game, but since you could use Unity infinitely to revive your squad, and soldiers automatically regenerated health, and other classes did not, In Mass Effect 2 and 3, however, your noticeably limited stash of Metagel became your life, because that was especially in Mass Effect 2, that was the number of revives you had. Every single person who went down took a Metagel, and your Metagel didn't refill after every mission. Cerberus was not paying for that shit. Thankfully in 3, they did a lot to help with that, and also Metagel now heals you. It didn't in 2, it just revived, because all health now regenerated. So I guess in the third one, they've returned to the mechanics of the first one, in a way? I guess this has just become let's talk about Mass Effect, and let's hear the Codex Entries too. I'm down with it.
Omni-tools are handheld devices that combine a computer microframe, sensor analysis pack, and manufacturing fabricator. Versatile and reliable, An Omni tool can be used to analyze and adjust the functionality of most standard equipment, including weapons and armor, from a distance. The fabrication module can rapidly assemble small three-dimensional objects from common, reusable industrial plastics, ceramics, and light alloys. This allows for field repairs and modifications to most standard items, as well as the reuse of salvaged equipment. Omni tools are standard issue for soldiers and first-in colonists.
And they're freaking amazing. Love Omni tools.
The Mars archives describe a superweapon that the Alliance has named the Crucible, which exploits the technology of Mass Effect relays. Beyond the basic principles, however, researchers know little about how the weapon actually works. One popular theory suggests that since relays can transfer matter and energy across the galaxy with little regard for distance, it may be possible to create a weapon for which range is barely a factor. Duplicating the advanced science used to build the relays has proven difficult, however. If the Crucible were completed, the challenge would become tuning the weapon to kill a Reaper halfway across the galaxy without inflicting unthinkable levels of collateral damage. What is clear is that the Crucible's construction is a massive effort, drawing resources from throughout explored space. Staggering financial costs have been disregarded in the common effort to create something, anything, that can stop the Reapers.
Yep, the MacGuffin of the game. Actually, I have no problem with this particular form of MacGuffin because over the game, a lot of the war assets that don't, like, you recover direct military assets, and you recover, like, researchers that go help build the Crucible. I thought that was a good way to tie it all up and make things a little simpler and also help the plot because, you know, you can't defeat the Reapers through conventional technology because the Reapers are the best thing ever. Frankly, I would have liked it if it was just, no, fuck you, we can defeat them conventionally. We just need a lot of guns. I can get a lot of guns. Quarians have the biggest fleet ever. And then there's all the others. But if they had to go this way, I think it was done pretty well. Sneeze successfully averted. Except for the ending. Obviously. That was...
The genophage bioweapon was created to end the Krogan rebellions. The Turians fought the Krogan to a standstill, but the sheer weight of Krogan numbers indicated they could not be stopped through conventional means. The Turians collaborated with the Solarians to engineer a genetic counter to the Krogan's rapid breeding. The genophage virus replicated by eating key genetic sequences, altering every cell of Krogan physiology, so the Krogan could not use gene therapy to fix the affected tissues. Once a genophage strain could replicate no more, it would starve and die, limiting mutation and contamination. In addition, the created genetic flaw is hereditary. The resulting mutation made only 1 in 1,000 Krogan pregnancies carry to term, reducing offspring viability rather than fertility. Krogan warlords fought battles over the females able to carry children to term. The release of the genophage is still controversial and bitterly debated in many circles.
I bet. And this has been up since the first game, and this has been one of the aspects of the very best kind of sci-fi and writing and drama of the entire Mass Effect trilogy. The genophage is great writing. Because frankly, I'm a typically pretty Paragon-oriented person. Not always a Paragon, and not like a little, but like, you know, in terms of which philosophy I agree with, much more Paragon, obviously. But the genophage, I agree with the original release of the genophage. It did its job. The fact that it affects viability rather than fertility is a brutal little detail, considering it basically inflicts stillborns at a horrific rate that just... It did turn the Krogans into more of what they already were, and we saw the effects of that. And we also saw that with Rex and Eve at the helm and the genophage cure distributed, there's hope for the Krogan in the future. Well, except for that part where the ending rendered it all superfluous, but let's just agree to forget that for the moment.
It may be possible to reverse the genophage by extracting an immunity from the genetic data of a cured Krogan female. A Solarian geneticist named Malin, a former student of Dr. Morden Solus, discovered the cure through unethical experimentation on live subjects. The complexity and durability of the genophage derives from biochemical countermeasures that the Solarians wove into the plague in an attempt to make the sterilization incurable. No one is certain of how Malin circumvented the countermeasures, but his work was complete enough to allow replication of his results. In its original form, the cure restored fertility but severely compromised the immune system. This resulted in slow, painful death for all but one of Malin's test subjects. If the beneficial aspects of the cure can be isolated, a specially tailored virus could repair the affected genes in other Krogan.
Yeah. I expressed this before, but Malin was the loyalty mission, like an optional content for Morden in the second game, and the data and keeping it was just a snap decision I made. I'm like, oh sure, I'll keep the data. Maybe it'll be useful. It was really useful. Like it boggles me how much the entire main plot revolved around Malin and his work. We even got a message from him. Kind of wish I'd let Morden shoot him, honestly. Maybe Morden had similar thoughts.
The Reaper called Harbinger is believed to be the oldest and largest in the Reaper Armada. From the reaches of dark space, Harbinger managed to control the Collectors, a race of human-sized insectoid bipeds, as it sent them on a campaign to kill and gather humans from vulnerable colonies. The Collectors became a terrifying force in the galaxy, responsible for the murder of hundreds of thousands. Surviving colonists have described the tone of Harbinger's threats heard through the Collectors as they attacked as visceral and terrifying. Alliance intelligence has tentatively identified Harbinger as one of the Reapers leading the attack on Earth.
No kidding, we saw him near the end. And we kinda never fought him or talked with him or... Man. Chalk that up another on the anticlimax list. That is explained if the indoctrination theory is true. Speaking of which...
Reaper indoctrination is an insidious means of corrupting organic minds, reprogramming the brain through physical and psychological conditioning using electromagnetic fields, infrasonic and ultrasonic noise, and other subliminal methods. The Reaper's resulting control over the limbic system leaves the victim highly susceptible to its suggestions. Organics undergoing indoctrination may complain of headaches and buzzing or ringing in their ears. As time passes, they have feelings of being watched and hallucinations of ghostly presences. Ultimately, the Reaper gains the ability to use the victim's body to amplify its signals, manifesting as alien voices in the mind. Indoctrination can create perfect deep cover agents. A Reaper's suggestions can manipulate victims into betraying friends, trusting enemies, or viewing the Reaper itself with superstitious awe. Should a Reaper subvert a well-placed political or military leader, the resulting chaos can bring down nations. Long-term physical effects of the manipulation are unsustainable. Higher mental functioning decays, ultimately leaving the victim a gibbering animal. Rapid indoctrination is possible, but causes this decay in days or weeks. Slow, patient indoctrination allows the thrall to last for months or years.
Like the elusive man. I personally am a subscriber to the indoctrination theory at this point. Now, by the time this goes up, there'll probably be DLC released one way or another, or BioWare will do something, because, man, you look up shitstorm in the dictionary, you're gonna find a picture of Mass Effect 3's ending with that fucking Catalyst child. That was either really bad writing or really bad cliffhanger. And frankly, it almost at this point doesn't matter what BioWare intended to do, if they intended the indoctrination theory to be true or not, because they got this opportunity to turn themselves around and reverse that shitty fucking ending, and they better take it. So I don't care if, they really didn't intend it. They go, oh yeah, you got us guys, that was our intent all along. You guys, we are really complex and artistic. You know what? If they fix the goddamn ending and give a legit ending, I'm cool with it either way. Just do that. Okay, now other Reaper entries.
A myth common to several cultures in the galaxy. Reapers were once imagined as space monsters that consumed entire stars. Archaeologists who searched for the sources of such myths found little besides the themes of all-consuming devils that are common to primitive cultures. Although accurate information about the Reapers remains scarce, the galaxy now knows that the Reapers are not a myth. They are a real and devastating threat.
Goddamn right. That's one thing I noticed playing through the game, was it was interesting and kind of relieving to have people openly talking about the Reapers instead of vigorously denying that they exist. You know, once they're fucking burning Earth, then, you know, it's really tough to... Even Avina didn't want to deny it. Excuse me.
Sovereign was the first Reaper encountered by the modern Citadel races. Military leaders initially assumed that Sovereign was a Geth or Prothean flagship commanded by Saren Arterius, a rogue specter. The truth was far more alarming. The massive ship was itself intelligent, and Saren proved to be under its control. The attacks by Sovereign against Eden Prime and the Citadel removed any uncertainty about the Reaper's technological superiority. Sovereign's formidable shielding and firepower allowed it to hold off the combined fleets of the Citadel, and its mass effect fields proved powerful enough to let the enormous vessel land on a planet's surface. Sovereign's mission, to open a mass relay that would transport the other Reapers from dark space, proved its undoing. During the Battle of the Citadel, Sovereign linked its consciousness to Saren's. When Saren's death corrupted the signal and shut down Sovereign's shields, Sovereign's destruction soon followed.
Yep, once we got through the shields, the fleet was able to bring it down. It's interesting to me that Sovereign had such total trust in its indoctrinated servant in Saren that it was, you know, once Saren went down, that was the key to stopping Sovereign, so Sovereign had to know that was coming. Especially since we talked Saren into shooting himself in the goddamn temple, which was one of the most amazing moments in gaming, in my opinion. You never saw that.
Reaper indoctrination.
We've heard that.
The Citadel races have classified the known variants of Reapers into 4 types. Capital ships are Sovereign-class Reapers 2 kilometers in length. They typically target the dreadnoughts, defense installations, and industrial cities of organic civilizations. Experts believe the Reapers harvest a single species of organics during each cycle of extinction to create these massive ships. Some capital ships are capable of launching small drones equivalent to fighters. Destroyers are 160 meters long and, in astounding numbers, make up the bulk of the Reaper fleet. They engage cruisers and other smaller ships, as well as communications posts and enemy command centers. Research suggests destroyers are created from those species that are not harvested to make capital ships. Troop transports carry husks to unconquered planets and bring victims of the harvest to Reaper processing centers. They vary in length from 200 meters to 1 kilometer, but unlike capital ships and destroyers, do not appear to be self-aware. Instead, other Reapers operate troop transports remotely. Processors, also called slaughter ships, are mobile centers for mass DNA harvesting. Like troop transports, processors appear to be remotely operated by sapient Reapers.
Mass DNA harvesting. You know what? Fuck you, Callous Child. This isn't Ascension, this is butchery.
Banshees are the corrupted Asari often found leading a Reaper strike force. The Reapers create them specifically from Asari with active or latent predispositions to becoming Ardot Yakshi, a rare neurological condition that enhances the Asari's biotic power while causing the immediate death of anyone she mates with. Lumbering as though in constant pain, the emaciated Banshees are surprisingly durable opponents. They are devastating biotics, able to hurl lethal balls of energy and create shock waves as they regenerate. What Alliance military finds most disturbing is the Banshee's ability to spawn her own warp field and seemingly teleport during combat. Although their wails have no apparent physiological effect, the psychological impact is undeniable. When Banshees die, their Ardot Yakshi genetics twist against them, causing a biotic implosion to ensure they evade capture.
I fucking hate banshees. They're not fun to fight against. They're more durable than brutes. That's so fucked up. Asari are squishy.
The Brute is a hulking amalgamation of Turian and Krogan victims of the Reapers. Because tissue from dextroprotein species like the Turians is incompatible with levoprotein species like the Krogan, implants regulate the Brute's body chemistry to combat organ rejection. It is the fusion of Turian military skill and Krogan blood rage that makes the Brute such a formidable enemy, capable of destroying armored vehicles to get to the soldiers inside. Troops are advised to keep their distance and, whenever possible, not engage a Brute alone.
Yeah, no kidding. Or be Commander Shepard. Or send Krogan at it. That seems the most appropriate.
Cannibals are frontline Reaper units created from corrupted Batarians. The nickname refers to their propensity to devour the bodies of fallen comrades. This triggers a biochemical process through which the cannibals spontaneously heal themselves and grow new chitinous armor. The transformation also appears to give cannibals a greater awareness of their surroundings, leading to more strategic behavior and careful use of battlefield cover.
Yeah, upgraded cannibals are such a huge bitch to fight. That's basically all you fought on Earth, which it makes sense. I mean, they've had plenty of opportunity to feast. It was still bullshit.
The sight of a Reaper harvester in flight nearby is one of the first indications that a Reaper invasion is underway. Their massive wingspan allows them to quickly cover the distance between them and their prey. In the harvester's mouth are two heavy guns that fire in an alternating pattern. The harvester's most fearsome quality, however, is that its appearance guarantees that Reaper ground troops are not far behind.
Yeah, and we can assume that it fulfills its role. Harvesters have given me some of the toughest troubles of the campaign, honestly. There's been a couple really tight spots, and they've killed me a couple times outright.
Husks are the aggressive, mindless foot soldiers of the Reaper armies. They are created by impaling either living or dead humans on mechanical spikes that rapidly extract water and trace minerals and replace them with cybernetics. These cybernetics reanimate the lifeless flesh and tissue, transforming the bodies into horrifying killing machines. The Reapers use large groups of husks to overwhelm the enemy. The Husk's inability to feel pain, as well as their tendency to attack in groups, makes them particularly deadly adversaries.
Yep. Space zombies.
Marauders are harvested Turians that command and protect other Reaper troops. The lean, armored creatures present a significant threat in and of themselves, but they are especially dangerous when leading a Reaper task force. Alliance Marines have observed Marauders fortifying husks and cannibals by enveloping them in a ribbon of energy that forms a scabby shell of armor. For this reason, when Alliance soldiers encounter a Marauder alongside husks or cannibals, standing orders are to target the Marauder first.
Smart. They can really make your life miserable by buffing all their friends.
Ravagers
Speaking
are
of things that
former
make your life
Rachni
miserable.
that the Reapers have transformed into heavy artillery through a process of implantation and genetic modification. As walking organic turrets, they can sustain and inflict considerable damage. Ravagers bear egg sacs that continuously spawn swarmers. If the sacs are destroyed either during combat or upon the Ravager's death, their entire contents burst forth to charge the enemy and explode on contact. A dead Ravager expels a caustic gas and an acidic puddle. Alliance scientists have theorized that it is easiest for the Reapers to maintain control over units of Rachni genetic extraction because of the species' neurological predisposition for hive mind consensus.
Yeah. Man, the Rachni always have it so bad. I hate Ravagers too. Ravagers and Banshees are like the worst thing ever. And once again, not fun. At all.
The Reaper weapon, nicknamed Black Star, is so advanced that Alliance scientists can only offer speculation about how it works. The gun appears to exploit an Element Zero core and mass effect fields to fire gravitational singularities, micro black holes, that revert to their natural lethality when they impact a solid object. Researchers theorize that the blast tears apart the strong nuclear forces that hold the target's atoms together, resulting in a localized fusion reaction in light atoms and a localized fission reaction in heavy atoms. If that hypothesis is correct, the weapon alters nuclei, thus changing the chemical composition of the target. This destroys organic tissue, corrodes surviving armor, and leaves a visible trail of light-emitting particles. Although some might argue that the Black Star's single-launch capability makes it a liability, its capacity for utter destruction is essential when the user requires large-scale, instantaneous damage.
Oh, Black Star, I will always remember you for two particular encounters. One on Mene, the moon of Palaven, I believe? Yeah, it's Mene, not Array. Where I fought the two brutes in close combat, and then I found the Reaper Black Star. So fucking... well, it's a blind run. And the other one was I was fighting a Harvester and its guys, and I could have just nuked the Harvester with it, and...
Before the introduction of the M560 Hydra, missile launchers either focused on bringing down a single armored target or simultaneously neutralizing multiple unarmored opponents. With the Hydra, a soldier no longer needs to choose between the two. The Hydra releases a barrage of miniature missiles, each guided by an independent homing system that seeks out exposed enemies. On impact, 3 shaped charges per missile explode in sequence. The first overloads the target's kinetic barriers before the second destroys its armor, clearing a path for the third warhead to detonate inside the target.
Pretty badass. We tried using that during holding the line in London against like the Billion Banshees. Ran out.
Although melee combat applications for the Omni tool are almost as old as the device itself, the feature was largely unused prior to the Reaper invasion. The need to take on multiple husks in close quarters forced the Alliance to develop ways to enhance the tool's offensive capability. The most common melee design is the Omni-Blade, a disposable silicon carbide weapon flash-forged by the tool's mini-fabricator. The transparent, nearly diamond-hard blade is created and suspended in a mass effect field safely away from the user's skin. Warning lights illuminate the field so the searing hot blade only burns what it is intended to: the opponent. More technically adept soldiers frequently modify their Omni tools to maximize stopping power through electrical, kinetic, or thermal energy. Some troops integrate the weapon with their kinetic barriers, transforming the Omni tool into a wrist-mounted bludgeon. Others fabricate flammable gases, held in place by a mass effect field and ignited upon impact. All prove deadly surprises for opponents who expect a disarmed Alliance warrior.
Hell yeah. So Omni Tools got like a million times better. Also, that explains how the holograms are hurting people. I still haven't heard anything about tech armor, but I'm sure that's somewhere. That's all the primary codex entries, everybody. There's still a secondary codex. Oh, you betcha there are. There is. It exists.